All right, guys, I want to talk to you about a Seiko that surprised me. What I mean is, I go through a lot of watches. Some of them I buy, some of them I don't buy, and they're just here for the channel on loan. But other than my Longines Big Eye, this is the only other one that really truly surprised me of how much I liked it versus how much I anticipated liking it. And this is the Seiko spb207. And I kind of knew I had already set the bar pretty high because I had watched videos of this. Actually, AB from Watch Collecting Strategy, I think that's his YouTube channel. He did an excellent video on this watch, and I watched that video a few times. And so I knew I was going to like the watch. Plus, bunch of pictures and everything. Yes, technically, I guess I'm a bit of an influencer, but I get influenced as well. So, and this is the type of watch that is like, it should resonate across a large section of the community, whether it's the green dial one or any of the other ones. The MM200 reduced, or MM200R, like a lot of us are calling, I think this one is a very, very good watch for many wrist size. And it's definitely maybe on the little bit smaller side. It wears very similar to, say, like an SKX. So if you're familiar with wearing the Seiko SKX, this one wears very similar to that, but a much more premium feel. All right, now that I got that little rant out of the way, let's just get into it like normal. So the case on this does measure out at 42 millimeter, but it just doesn't wear like a 42. It definitely wears like a 40 and a half, I think. And that's, just the way Seiko's cases are. So 42 wide, 48 lug to lug, nice curve to the case, and you have drilled lug holes. The thickness on this, Seiko's website says 12 and a half. I measure at 12.6. I'm not going to argue with them on that. We're just going to say it's 12 and a half, I guess. So it's really thin. For example, the SKX is 13 and a half. Most Seiko divers are around 13 and a half. So this one coming in a whole millimeter thinner, and yeah, it matters. So it wears really good. 20 millimeter lug width. So that's going to be standard affair. Bracelet tapers down to 18. This is a nice bracelet. It matches the case of the watch really well. And you have a milled center section of the clasp. You have the stamped part here with the 4 micro adjust. Keeps it nice and thin. And you have an oversized fold over keeper there. You have their standard Seiko dive extension. That's to keep some sort of like ISO rating. It would be great if Seiko were to just eliminate that. But it's there. I will say I did have to play around with the pin and collar links on this to find a sweet spot for this clasp. So previously I had it a little bit too far over this way. I adjusted it and moved it all over that way, and now it fits perfect on my wrist. I mean, it was such a problem the way I had originally sized it that I was almost just going to give up on the watch. But I spent the time. I moved the clasp over via, adding links and, taking links out, and got it dialed in, and it was a game changer. I fell in love with the watch even more so, and is definitely staying in the collection for the entire 2022, which I'll explain in other videos when I do my State of the Collection. Inside this is the 6R35. It has a 24 joules. It is a 70-hour power reserve. It's spec'd to run at plus 25 to minus 15 seconds per day. I have not thrown it on the time grapher. I've worn this thing a bunch, and it seems to be holding time well enough that I don't need to investigate it any further. I'm happy with the accuracy right out of the box. All right, sapphire crystal, AR coating on the underside. The bezel insert on this looks like ceramic. I think if it was ceramic, that Seiko would brag about that. So I suspect it's actually steel, and then it's their hardened coating that they put on there to make it look like it. There's no details one way or the other. So I'm assuming that's what it is, because they've done that on a lot of other watches throughout the history here. So you unscrew the crown. It has a 6.5 millimeter crown, and you can go ahead and wind that 6R movement in this position. And then first position, you can change the date, and the last position, you can hack the movement and set the time. Go ahead and screw that back in, and maintain that 200-meter water depth rating that this thing has. 120 click bezel, has a coin edge on that. Very nice, smooth, consistent across its clicks. Does it line up? No. It's a half a click off. Most of the newer Seikos I get in, it's maybe not even a half. It's maybe like a quarter. I almost never see them lined up anymore, guys. And I know that's a big hang up for a lot of people. I'm over it. I don't care. I still love the watches. I just have said it. I mean, you could pop the bezel, take the bezel insert off, put the bezel back on, and then reapply the bezel. I'm not going to do it. I don't care. It's fine. There's bigger things to worry about, guys. I know you think that a watch that costs $1,350, and that's what I paid for this, plus tax. I paid full retail. It should line up, right? And I agree with you, but I still want the watch, so I'm just going to deal with it. It is what it is. This is part of the 140th anniversary. They did 3 models for this one, all limited editions. They did the MM300, which is the SLA047. They made 3,000 of those. This one, already said, is the spb207. They made 6,000 of these. Yeah, right. Real big limited edition, right? And then they also did a chronograph sumo, which I've yet to see on the channel. I need to get one of those in. That was the SSC807, and they made 4,000 of those. So at some point, hopefully, I'll get one of those models in there. Not necessarily the colorway, but I love the green on this. And it comes with a green silicone strap, which is how I wore it before I sized the bracelet for a few days. And it looks really good on the strap. So if you could imagine, I'm not going to swap it out. I'm just too lazy, and the video is already 7 minutes long. We're going to talk about other things. So the strap is really good, extra feature, and it's not just a lazy standard black. They actually match the color of the dial pretty good with the strap, so I'm happy about that. Also, side note, always get these little bags to keep all your little pins and collars and so you don't lose them, and then keep them with your kit. So just a little side note. All right, so if we zoom in on this guy, I think we'll get a good look at the indices, the handset, and that beautiful green dial. I also shot some outside video. I'm having a hard time really showing that green dial. It is a very deep forest green. It's not as deep and dark as my SARB 059, which basically looks black all the time. But it is definitely a nice... I see it. Hopefully you guys see it as well. And then you have that gold second hand with that cool red and white tip on there. And then on the hands, if you look, they're polished on one side and brushed on the other, so they light play really good. Now on the case back, also the steel on this has like a little bit of a yellow coating. We used to call that DiaShield. They don't label it as DiaShield on the website anymore. It just says super hard coating. So I don't know if they just abandoned the name DiaShield, but on the case back it just says limited edition, and then you have a serial number. So they're not, how they traditionally were numbering them, which I really like. They didn't do it on this one, but if you have one of these, what number is yours? So it looks like mine's 3179. So I'm curious to know what number you have on your spb207. I'm thinking it maybe started at 1 or something and ran up to 6,000 or something, I guess. I hope, maybe. Let me know. If you have one of these, let me know. All right, let's zoom back out here. We can try this on. I'll let you take a peek on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. You can see what I mean about the clasp. It lays perfect now. I had it over this way too far, so I had to put it so the dive extension was part of the curve of my wrist. So there it is on my 7 1/4, closer to 7 1/8 inch wrist. Guys, this feels perfect on wrist. It is, I don't know. I'm very smitten with this watch. There's no doubt about it. I absolutely love it. All right, let's get this off. Let's check the loom. I know you guys like to see the loom shot. And then after that, I will try to include the little bit of the video I shot outside, just so you can see it in natural light. Not direct sun, though, unfortunately. I got overcast. But here's the loom. And the loom is still really good. I have no gripe about the loom, but I will say it is, some of the previous generation Seikos were definitely brighter than this. This is still plenty bright, don't get me wrong, but it's weak in comparison to some models that I've seen like not that long ago, a few years ago. It seems like they were brighter. Like my Orange Monster is brighter than this. Of course, there's more real estate for loom there, but I mean, look at this. The SARB 059 is nearly as bright, and this thing is from like 2013, 2012, something like that. I don't know how old it is. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll